Welcome back. I wonder what some of the notes are that you wrote down. Hopefully, you're excited and passionate about what you do. Because I always say, if you don't like what you're doing for a living, finish it off, leave. Now, what I want you to do is, for right now, I want you to imagine that we have an invisible company called the ABC Company. And there's the 5 of us. And this company has been trading for 100 years, successfully. Each year it makes a 10% profit. It's unencumbered, it's debt-free. And each year we decide to rotate the chairperson. This year it happens to be me. I'm our spokesperson and ambassador for the year. And I just remind you, how long have we been trading?
100 years.
100 years. How much debt do we have?
None.
None. What profit do we make each year?
10%.
Well, you know, I've been thinking it's not enough. I believe that we, over the next 12 months, under my leadership, can double our turnover and double our business. What would probably be your reaction?
Disbelief.
Disbelief. Why? Because you're right. What would you have to even back up that disbelief? 100 years of history. But Gary, with all due respect, over the last 100 years we've made a 10% profit. How do you believe in the next 12 months we can double our business and double our turnover based on all the past? And then one or two of you might jump in and remind us of some of the challenges that we have with staff, with production, with delivery, with service. And I say, I accept that, but we can make some cosmetic changes. We can do it. 1 year later, as I about to exit out and hand the baton over, I remind you of my pledge. What was the pledge? That I would help us do what in the next 12 months?
Double.
Well, as my fellow directors, I failed you. We've only improved it by 80%. Is that a good or a bad result?
Good.
Good?
Excellent.
Okay. Let me start by already sharing the first aha, if we can use that analogy today. It's neither. It's neither a good result, it's a bad result. It's just a result. Think about how often in life we allow ourselves to get bogged down with what we perceive as a failure because we didn't get the job we wanted or the promotion we wanted. When in actual fact, all we really got was a result. Let me give you an example. We were able to increase it by 80%. So right now, what I want you to write down are the 2 questions around that. Question 1, which is profound, how did we get the 80%? That's the question. Right now, for wherever you're watching this, I want you to write that question down too. How did we get the 80%? And question 2, what do you think question 2 is?
Why did we miss out on the 20%?
Excellent, nearly. What do we need to do to get the other 20? What do we need to do to get the other 20? Let me explain while you're writing that down why this is profound. If we set out for 100% and we got 80, statistically you'd say, well, that's 80% toward our goal, so that's a good result. But if we were to take on this concept that it's neither good or bad, it's just a result, and we ask the question, how did we get the 80? It may turn out that when we look back, you say, well, Gary, we actually started an hour early every morning, and we worked back an hour later. We became more efficient in some of these areas. We now have some behavioural, some modelling that we can reflect on and say, oh, okay. So if we were to continue that, that might increase or improve. And that would also back up our second question is, how do we get the other 20? We might have to replicate or duplicate or do a little bit more of whatever it is that we've done in order to get the 80%. Give you another analogy, if I may. Imagine, Colin, you're a salesperson selling widgets. And you say, Gary, this is terrific information. I'm going to make a commitment right now to myself that I'm going to sell another 10 widgets this time next week, and I'll give you a call. I say, terrific. The following week, Colin rings me and says, Gary, I sold 1 more widget as a consequence of implementing this material. Is that a good or bad result based on this scenario?
It's a result.
Excellent. The question you would appropriate there is, how did I get the extra 1? And what do you think question 2 is? What would I need to do to get the other 9? The reason I share that with you right now is it's important that we understand why we do what we do. And if people are dissatisfied or disgruntled with their life, then change it. You have a choice. But ultimately, I'm going to ask you, do you believe that most of us would like to have more power in our lives? Yes? Would you think?
Yes.
In order to achieve more? To some extent, that's a trick question. You see, there are people historically that had power. Let's think of Adolf Hitler as one person. And unless you sit on one particular side of the fence, I think you'd agree he had a lot of power, but he probably didn't appropriate that power in a particularly positive way. So maybe I need to rephrase the question. Here it is. How many of you would like to have positive power that would enable you to make a difference to another person's life positively, and as a consequence you prosper too? Yes? Great. Well, let me go over the whiteboard because I want to give you my analogy, if I may, on the word power. I think it's very, very pertinent.